What's up everyone, I'm Poké Trainer Nick, and in this video we're going to get a behind the scenes look on the videos that I upload to the Poké Trainer Nic YouTube channel. So this behind the scenes look is going to include things such as the hardware that I'm using, the software that I'm using, some best practices and strategies, anything that you need to get started when it comes to starting your own YouTube channel, whether that's on Pokemon or something else, and anything that you need to be successful. So these are things, I do this video stuff full time as part of my day job. Poké Trainer Nic is my hobby project, but I also get to use all of the things that I've picked up along the way from the day job and the Poké Trainer Nic YouTube channel. So we're going to start with the software that I'm using to record these videos, because at a minimum, you just need software to get started. You don't need to worry about any kind of fancy hardware that I might be using. Those are nice to have, and I'll talk about what's maybe necessary and what's nice to have after this. But at the minimum, you're going to need some kind of software to record your videos and even edit those videos or upload those videos as well. Who knows? So up on my screen, you'll notice that I have OBS open. So this is Open Broadcaster Software Studio. This is a free software. It works for Mac, Windows, and Linux, although I am using Windows. You might have heard this software come around when it comes to streaming, so live streaming to Twitch and similar. It is the most popular software for that. However, you can also record your videos as well or instead with this software. So you can use it for whatever your video kind of recording and streaming needs may be. It's not an editing software. It is a recording software. Now, I'm not going to get into the nitty-gritty, my review, or exactly the fundamentals on how OBS works. I'm just going to show you real quick on how I'm using it to give you ideas on how you can use it in your own recordings and your own YouTube channel. So if you notice on the left here, I have several different scenes. So the video scene is what I use when I'm talking to you directly into the camera, when Maria's around, when Erica's around, and then that's what we kind of introduce ourselves in. Now, I jump around depending on the type of recording that I'm doing, whether I'm doing a Pokemon card opening, whether or not I'm showing you something on my display, or if I'm playing my Nintendo Switch. I have a scene for every single one of those use cases. So for example, if I wanted to show you what's on my desk, and I use this scene when it comes to opening cards, I'll click on desk. And you'll see that I have my hands, I have my keyboard, I have my mouse. I'll get into the kind of finer details on what exactly is recording this particular scene right now, but it is something that I was able to switch to. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to switch to my display. So when I switch to my display, it's actually displaying my other monitor. So I have two monitors, which you're going to see shortly. I have two monitors, and it's showing myself, my camera. It's of course, it's you're listening to my audio, but you're also seeing whatever content I have on my other monitor display. Now let's go ahead and switch over to the other scene. So this I've called my Nintendo scene, and you'll see that right now it says Elgato, no signal. But if I go to my controller and I turn on whatever's plugged into this particular scene, which is my Nintendo Switch, I can actually show you what it looks like when I'm gaming. So this is exactly what I see, and this is what you see in OBS. And I actually play on these videos through OBS. So when I'm playing and you see me on a video or a live stream playing, I'm actually looking at my monitor, which is displaying OBS. So let's go ahead and turn this off. Then finally, I have another scene, which is no video, which is basically my Nintendo Switch without my video. And I have other stuff as well, which we're going to get into as we progress. So I have a scene for everything, and inside of each scene, I have different sources. So for example, whether that be a particular microphone, a particular camera, these are things that you should educate yourself on if you plan to use OBS, so Open Broadcast Studio. And there's other software that you can use to get this job done. This is just one that I found preference in. At one point in time, I was using Camtasia, which was cool and all, but it wasn't really appropriate for this job. A lot of people might use Premiere Pro or Final Cut. It really depends on how you want to record everything. I've just found this to be very convenient. And you know what? I know a lot of people, they actually have several different cameras recording at the same time, several different cameras, several different microphones, and then they go into their editing software and they chop it all together at the end. So that way they have full control. Whereas if I'm using OBS, I have somewhat lenient control. I can manipulate everything that you see on my screen, but say for example, I have this little image or this little video of me in the corner. If I wanted to increase that or change that a bit, it'd be kind of difficult because it's embedded in that one video file that we get in the end, versus if this was a separate camera, then I can go ahead and edit it however I please inside of my editing software. So let's actually get into what editing software I'm using. So I'm actually using a software called Davinci Resolve. And I'm actually new to this software myself, but it is one that a lot of people rave about. So Davinci Resolve is free. There's a free version and a paid version. There are restrictions in the free version, but for most people, you will never ever need more than what those things are restricting. So for example, one thing that's being restricted is the ability to export to 4K. I don't plan to export to 4K as of right now. 1080p is great for me. So that's basically the only thing that I've found so far that's different between the free version and the paid version. And the paid version is like $300, so it's not the end of the world. But this is a pretty powerful software, and I'm not going to get into how to use it or anything. It's definitely more complicated than say iMovie, but it accomplishes everything that I need. I can tune up my audio. I can slice and dice my different video sources or audio sources, which I'm going to be doing in this particular video because I'm actually using a GoPro as well, which I'm going to use to show you some of the hardware for this particular video. Davinci Resolve is a really good option, and it does work for Mac and Windows. I don't know if it works for Linux. I don't think it does, but more often than not, you're probably going to be using Windows or Mac. So let's jump around a bit. So we saw kind of the software side of things. I'm really not using that much software. I'm not using anything extravagant. I'm using OBS to record and Davinci Resolve to edit. A lot of the stuff really comes down to my hardware, and this is where you start entering things that, you know what, it's kind of optional. Things are nice to have. Things are absolutely necessary. Who knows? I'm going to be walking through my opinions on the subject matter, and then you can use your own best judgment on top of that. So if I give you a walkthrough here, so this is my setup. This is what you can call my battle station. It's definitely, I'm not trying to flex, but I have worked it up over the years. So it's not something that I all splurged on all at one time. So for example, I have my tower. It is a pretty beefy tower. So for example, I think it's a Ryzen 9 with a lot of RAM and SSDs and things like that. You don't need that for recording YouTube videos. You could use a laptop if you want. When it comes down to the specs of your computer for video editing, it's how fast you want it to render. So Maria edits her videos on a laptop. It works fine. It just takes 10 times longer to export the video, which really has no effect on the quality whatsoever. I have this microphone here. So I'm not currently using this microphone. This is my AT2020 microphone. It is XLR. It is plugged into this Focusrite Scarlett Solo device. So this is my preamp because it is not a USB microphone. So this preamp powers the microphone and actually plugs in through USB to my desktop tower. Once again, I'm not using it. It really depends on the video. So for example, right now I'm using a Rode Wireless Go lapel microphone. It is underneath my shirt. I do it in a lot of videos, so that way I can move around and you still get good audio quality. It really depends. If I'm playing a game, I'll probably use my AT2020 microphone. It just really depends. Now, as far as my camera goes, I am using a Logitech Brio web camera. So this is a higher end Logitech camera. It's definitely not a kind of mirrorless DSLR camera that a lot of streamers use. It's not the best video quality, but it gets me by. If I had to do it again, I'd probably go for something cheaper and it'd probably be fine. It just really depends on what you're after. I'd probably go for a cheaper one next time, and then if I were to jump to something better, rather than getting the Brio, I'd probably go straight into like the Sony a6000, which is a mirrorless camera. It just really depends. I do have two screens, like I mentioned. One has my OBS and one has my web browser. I have this desktop boom pole right here. So I don't know what you can call it, a boom arm, desk mount. I don't know. It's different from all the other ones that I have. So for example, the AT2020 has this arm, which is attached to my desk. This one's just sitting on top, and I actually use it for my phone. So this is my iPhone right here. So it's actually how I show you the card openings. So it's attached. This is a magnet mount. I got it off of Amazon. There are other options. You could use the kind of clasp mount, but I found it very difficult to maneuver. So this is just a magnet. I have a magnet inside my case. It makes it pretty easy, and it points straight down. It's not that far from my mat, but it's something to think about. And there's other options as well. You could use like a multi-mount, like what my camera is attached to. It really depends on the desk that you're working with and things like that. Now let's move around. So this is my Stream Deck. So you notice that when I was inside of my OBS, I was clicking around between the different scenes. I actually have full control of that through my Elgato Stream Deck as well. So for example, I could switch to my desk. I could switch to my display. I can switch to my Nintendo. I can switch back to my video. I can show, for example, if I click on social media and I click on, say, YouTube. So I usually click this and I say, hey, you know what? Don't forget to like and subscribe to my YouTube channel. I can do that. Now, it doesn't create that graphic for me. I actually purchased that from a site, but it does allow me to display it anytime I want during my video recording, which is pretty convenient. There's other things that I can do as well, so I can control my lights. It's a pretty nifty device. It took me a while to find value in it, but once I figured out how to properly use it, it was all uphill from there. That brings me to the lights. So I have two Elgato key lights. They're mounted to my desk. I have a lot of Elgato product here. I'm not getting endorsed by them or anything, but they make pretty good stuff when it comes to video and streaming. So I have the two key lights. So if I turn them off, you can get an idea what my video would look like if they were off. So I'm going to turn them off. And the video, at least I think the video has gone downhill in comparison to what it was like if they were on. Now I do have a light up on my ceiling fan as well, kind of gets the ambience behind me. But as far as the lights go, in order for this Logitech Brio to get clear, it's definitely not a great camera. It's a higher end webcam, but it's not a great camera overall. It does need proper lighting, and those Elgato key lights definitely help. Not to mention, I do have curtains. So if I were to, it is daytime right now. If I were to open up these curtains, even with the key lights, the curtains would, if they were open, the sunlight would ruin the whole video. So you just have to play around with your lighting and things like that. Now, what do you actually need to make Pokemon videos or similar for YouTube? Well, do you need the lights? Nah, you could probably live without the lights. There's other options. You could get a desk lamp and you can be all right. You can get much cheaper versions that exist on Amazon if you're starting out, and you'll be perfectly fine. I don't see a lot of people complaining about the lighting in videos. Now, audio. Audio is a different thing. I think audio is the single most important thing for any video that you upload to YouTube, because you're going to get an audience that may not be native to the language that you're speaking. If your audio is not clear, they're going to have a hard time. And, you know, it just doesn't, it's not really cool to play it on your TV and the audio is kind of garbly and not very clear at all. So think about that. This AT2020 microphone that's hooked up to the preamp, the microphone I think was like 80 bucks. The preamp was like $100. You can get the USB version of this microphone, and it's like 120 bucks. It's not too expensive, but the audio quality is phenomenal. The Rode Wireless Go 2, that's a much more expensive lapel microphone. Do you need it? Probably not. Stick with something else. There are other USB microphones that exist. Honestly, I'd say any USB microphone, any kind of microphone other than the built-in webcam microphone is going to be great for you. So you don't need the top of the line. You just need something that's different from the built-in web camera. Now this iPhone rig that I'm using, so you'll notice it's not attached to anything, but yet I can still control it inside of OBS. So I'm actually using another Elgato software. So this Elgato software is called Epoch Cam. Unfortunately, it's only for iOS right now. It allows you to wirelessly connect your iPhone to your computer. It was like a $7 app, super awesome. So I purchased it. It allows me to connect it to my computer and treat it like just another webcam that I'm using. So it's great. So if I wanted to, I can do my pack openings, things like that. In terms of how I'm connecting my Nintendo Switch, So let's go back to that mode. So I have my Nintendo Switch right there, which hopefully you can see. So my Nintendo Switch is right there. It's actually connected to my computer. So I'm actually using the Elgato 4K60 Pro. So it's a card inside of my computer. You don't need this card if you want to connect your console to your computer. This is a convenient way. It has high resolution, high frames per second. It was convenient for me, but honestly, I'm gonna be honest with you for a second here. This capture card right here, this is a HDMI to USB. You plug your Nintendo Switch into it. This is like $10 on Amazon. It works just as good. So you don't need the fancy Elgato tools to connect your Nintendo Switch to your computer. This works fine. I know that there's 100 other different brands that are similar to this. I think this is just some kind of cheap version. It's not even a real brand. I don't know. It works fine. You don't need anything other than that. So that's kind of the behind the scenes look at what I'm doing when it comes to these YouTube videos that I'm publishing to the Poké Trainer Nic YouTube channel. So just kind of a recap. For recording, I'm using OBS. It's free software. I have different scenes to represent what I'm doing, whether I'm just showing myself on video like I am now, if I'm showing my Nintendo Switch, if I'm opening up Pokemon cards, who knows, whatever. OBS does all of my recording needs, and I can actually add my microphone and things like that to it. Not giving you the full details on how to set it up and be successful. It's just what I'm using. To edit my video, I am using Davinci Resolve, free software. I'm not using the paid version. And I can edit my audio, I can edit my video, I can add kind of transitions and other kind of After Effects as well to those videos. I don't do a whole lot of post-processing before I upload. As far as hardware goes, hardware is where you get into where it costs money at least, but you don't need to spend the top dollar in order to get results. So like I said, I'm using 2 Elgato key lights. They're great, they look great. You could do with something lower priced, or even not at all. Video, I don't think anyone's going to complain too much if your video isn't crystal clear. I'm using the Logitech Brio web camera. It's like 200 bucks. It does a decent job. If I were to go for it again, I probably wouldn't get it. I'd get something either cheaper or something even better. So that should give you some ideas. When it comes to recording, my desk, I'm using just an iPhone. It's connected wirelessly using Epoch Cam by Elgato. It was like a $7 app, works for iOS, and it allows me to connect. I just have it hooked up to a desk kind of boom pole. It's with a magnet, so I'm not using a clasp, I'm just using the magnet. I have my Elgato 4K60 capture card, but like I said, you could use a cheap $10 capture card if you wanted to. And then I mix and match between my Rode Wireless Go microphone and my AT2020 microphone. I think that really covers it. There was one point in time where I was using an AT875R shotgun microphone, so something that kind of sits above me. I returned it actually. So my room is not really good on acoustics, so I was getting a lot of echo. It kind of sounded like I was in the bathroom almost. If you've got a really good room when it comes to acoustics, maybe a shotgun mount microphone would work for you. There's other options as well that I'm going to be experimenting with. But really, the lapel microphone that you can't see, it's actually hooked to my side here. Hopefully I didn't just mute it, so it looks like I'm still good. But it's hooked up with a cable underneath my shirt, and then the AT2020, which really has the top-notch audio quality for at least my setup. There's going to be microphones that are way better than mine, but on a budget, it sounds great. You can look at some of my other videos and check out the quality. But that's it. So if you like this video, if you have any kind of feedback for me, go ahead and drop them in the comments after you like and subscribe to the video itself. If you're using any kind of cool setup that you think I should be using, let me know about it. Likewise, software, hardware, things like that. If you're a fan of my videos in general when it comes to Pokemon, please drop me a comment and say so. I would love to hear it. Like I said earlier in this video, I do this kind of professionally outside of the Poké Trainer Nic channel. So for example, I don't often plug it, but if you're into development tutorials, like programming tutorials, that's kind of what I do. So I also run another blog and video channel called the Polyglot Developer. I also work for a database company where I do videos as well. So I do have a lot of prior hands-on experience. There's a learning curve to all of this. It takes time, but if you're dedicated enough, you can do it, and you can do it quickly. So it just takes a little bit of time, a little bit of dedication. Don't give up. Do it. It's fun. It's great. It's awesome. And you don't need all of this gear. You can get that at a later time and still be fun. So until next time, I hope you have a great rest of your day.